Did this Liberal MP, Nate Erskine-Smith, just let the cat out of the bag and say Trudeau's planning a spring election?
Nate Erskine-Smith, yes, I know it sounds like a name from an English drawing room comedy. He's a Liberal MP who has his show on YouTube. He interviewed Justin Trudeau. That's where we sent those clips the other day where Trudeau was saying, I'm roaring to go into an election.
Know exactly how hard this fight is going to be. And I also know that I am absolutely roaring to go.
Trudeau said the country can't survive without him. The Liberal Party can't run again without him. He is so indispensable. But Erskine-Smith is the author of Bill C-293, which we're labeling the Vegan Act, which will force you to be a vegan. And Erskine-Smith is a vegan, looks like one. He is behind a bill that says during a pandemic, the government has the right to shut down meatpacking plants, to shut down the meat industry, and to tell you what to eat.
Threats to our farming, because a Dalhousie professor, known for defending big grocers amidst record food inflation and who believes the woke movement is influencing our food policies, well, he describes Bill C-293 as a major, major threat. He writes that it has the potential to significantly expand governmental powers in response to future pandemics and warns that it could lead to government mandating the consumption of vegetable proteins. These are dangerous times if you believe the dark corners of the internet or meat lobbyists. Of course, I know it doesn't do these things because I wrote the damn bill. It doesn't grant any new governmental authorities at all. And don't worry, Aunt Kim, it won't force any...
It's a lie. I showed you the bill the other day. It does introduce regulatory mechanisms that do not exist today. This guy wrote the bill, but he doesn't seem to know what's in your bill. Nate, better have another look.
Anyone to eat vegetables. Instead, the bill requires the government to develop a plan to prepare for and to take steps to reduce the risk of a future pandemic, to table that plan in Parliament for accountability, and to update it every few years so the issue doesn't fall by the wayside as it did after SARS. The scary vegan section, well, that requires the feds to consult with provinces and ensure there are measures in place to manage and reduce pandemic risk, including in industrial animal agriculture. The World Bank calls the overuse of antibiotics a public health threat and pegs AMR deaths at hundreds of thousands per year already. Now, Canada's taking action, and that work should be updated as needed. We also know that a high density of genetically similar animals increases infectious disease risk. We know that. That's just the evidence. Avian and swine flu.
No, we don't know that. This is balderdash, and this is more World Economic Forum BS. This is more World Health Organization BS and more Liberal Party BS. Telling us that, oh, the science proves it. It doesn't prove any of this. You are making all of this up because you have an ideology and you have a political agenda that you want served.
Flus aren't new, and expert reports have laid this out clearly and then some. So what does the bill do? It calls for regulating commercial activities to reduce pandemic risk, including industrial animal agriculture. Now, I had biosecurity measures in mind, which shouldn't be controversial. Global travel is a key pandemic risk too, and no one is talking about ending either animal agriculture or travel. That would be ridiculous. It's about managing and reducing risks. Now, here's where it gets real scary. The bill suggests we should promote commercial activities that help to reduce pandemic risk, like alternative proteins. This, as I've come to learn from experts like far-right MP Cheryl Gallant, is apparently a communist...
Cheryl Gallant's not a far-right MP. You are a far-left MP for suggesting Canada and Canadians should adjust their dietary assumptions based on your stupid assumptions.
Code word for eating bugs.
Alternative protein is just a far left dog whistle that means crickets. What is it with the far left and their desire to have us all eat bugs?
Of course, there are...
Read the internet section from the WEF about eating bugs. Does this moron not know that? Does he not know this is a serious consideration from the World Economic Forum? They do want you to eat bugs. They do want you to own nothing. They do want you to live in a cardboard box. They do want you to be impoverished. It's on their website. Maybe you should read it, Nate, instead of going on YouTube and giving us blather. That means absolutely nothing. You're not defending your bill here. You're actually, you're ripping your bill naked for us to see how dangerous it is.
Plant-based alternatives already common, which matter a lot to Canada's pulse industry. And there's cellular agriculture too, where we see products in Singapore and better industry support in the US and other countries. No one is going to force your kids to eat bugs.
We should not be expecting our kids to eat bugs.
Okay. We either meet growing global demand for protein in an unsustainable way at great risk to public health, or through a combination of biosecure meat alongside an expansion of alternative proteins. More choices, no mandates. Lastly, as we saw with mink farming in the pandemic, some activities have...
Once again, read your own bill, Nate. We'll have we'll have some commentary from somebody who really knows this bill after, but I couldn't
little
resist,
economic
sorry.
value and come with disproportionate infectious disease risks. That's why BC and many other jurisdictions around the world banned the practice. So the bill calls for phasing out those activities that unreasonably, disproportionately contribute to pandemic risk, including activities with high-risk species. And that's it. That is the apparent end of animal agriculture as we know it, and here I thought I'd made it pretty clear in the House that I was open to reasonable amendments.
There are amendments, I have no doubt, that ought to be made to add things, to remove things, to adjust language. I'm certainly open to amending the legislation based on the detail.
Okay, let's hear some real rebuttal to this bill.
Oh, hey, I'm Canadian. I wanted to tell you about some of the great work that our Liberal Party has been up to lately, including Bill C-293. Bill C-293 is here to protect you, and we want to do things better this time in Canada. So let me tell you how we will be keeping you safe this time. Now, the first step is to make sure that we don't actually define what a pandemic is or what an emergency is so that we can protect you at any time. We realized that there was a surveillance problem. And even though last time we secretly tracked 33 million Canadians, this time we're going to do it better. We realized international borders were actually a problem. So this time we're going to cede all decision making to an unelected foreign body, aka the WHO. Now, in case we need to protect people, we actually put it in here that we can close businesses at any time and use them as shelters to protect all the people. Now, we determined that agriculture and eating food might be a health risk. So we put in here that at any time that we can slow or stop food production. Now, you guys know fighting a pandemic costs lots of money. So in case we need more of it, we want to be able to freeze assets, redirect them, and even nationalize industries if we have to. But because we're serious about keeping you guys healthy, we also want to be able to expropriate any kind of private property, land, and seize it for pandemic-related causes. Don't worry, you're going to own nothing, you'll be happy, you'll be safe, and you'll be healthy.
That was a wonderful summation of the bill. Much better than Erskine Smith attempted to do. And that's what's in the bill. That's what's actually in the bill. These are, shall we say, draconian measures? Yes, they're extremist measures. But this is a Liberal government that froze the bank accounts of not only protesters in the Freedom Convoy, but people who supported them by donating money. They had their bank accounts frozen. Do you trust a government that would do that to people? Can you trust anybody in that government that supported that kind of authoritarian action? No. The answer is no.
I mean, we've got a fall economic statement, we've got a budget, but principally, as I understand the role, it's also to inform. If we have an election in the spring, you know, in a perfect world, it might last all the way to October, but that seems unlikely these days.
Trudeau's planning a spring election?
If we have an election in the spring.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid, folks. Don't listen to Justin Trudeau. We need this kind of attitude in Canada right now because, let me tell you, Justin Trudeau will fight tooth and nail to stay as leader of the Liberal Party and as Prime Minister of Canada, and he will use every trick in the Liberal handbook to do that.
So we have to be vigilant, and we have to have perseverance to fight this battle to the end. As I've been saying since this station went on the air, we need to resolve to resist. And we need to fight for our free speech and our democratic rights to say what we believe, to speak, as John Diefenbaker said. And don't forget that t-shirt that's available out there in the store. I speak as a free Canadian, free to speak, free to believe in what I choose. And Justin Trudeau is not going to interfere with that. Thanks for being a part of the Craydens Right Resistance, and we'll see you again soon. So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need a political change, but we also need to resolve to resist.